Julian Cross didn't stand out that morning, not in the way people usually expected when they heard the name tied to a $48 million airline contract. He was dressed in a tailored navy suit, nothing ostentatious, just clean lines and quiet precision. His silver tie was knotted with purpose, and his shoes, though modest in polish, were designed for long airports and longer boardrooms. At 52, Julian carried himself with a steadiness earned over decades, not through the noise of ego, but the substance of effort. He moved through JFK Terminal 4 with the composure of a man who had boarded more dawn flights than he cared to count, accustomed to red-eye landings and keynote addresses delivered hours after stepping off a plane. In his left hand, a slim black briefcase. In his right, a first-class ticket to San Francisco, Seat 1A. He was en route to the Western Green Summit, where he was scheduled to deliver a keynote on sustainable logistics. It wasn't his first time on that stage. He knew the ballroom, the velvet-backed chairs, the small talk before the mic warmed. But this Flight 318, SkyWest Airlines, was different before it even began. The air at Gate 22 was unusually tense. Boarding hadn't started. A few travelers sipped coffee, some hunched over phones, others lazily flipping through emails. Julian stepped forward and offered a courteous smile to the young woman at the desk. "Morning," he said, his tone calm and steady, handing her his ticket. The agent, her name tag, read Eric, hadn't scanned it. Not immediately. She looked at him first, her gaze narrowing subtly, the way someone glances not at a person, but at a puzzle missing a piece. Her eyes dropped to the ticket, then lifted again, slowly, like double-checking a detail that didn't sit right. Julian didn't fidget. He waited. He was used to this sort of pause, the kind that didn't come from a broken system, but from a broken lens. "This lane's for priority boarding," she finally said, her voice a notch firmer than it needed to be. "I'm aware," Julian replied, the corners of his mouth neutral. "That's why I'm here." She hesitated. The ticket still hovered in her hand, unscanned. Then she whispered something to the colleague beside her. That one blonde, slightly older, leaned in, looked over at Julian, then at the screen. No scanning. No movement. Julian didn't push. Didn't raise an eyebrow. Didn't raise his voice. He had learned long ago that the loudest voice in the room rarely carried the most weight. "I'll need to see your ID," Erica said, her words clipped now. Julian tilted his head. "That's unusual. ID checks usually happen earlier, not here at the gate." "Standard security," she mumbled, but even she didn't sound convinced. Julian nodded. He produced his ID, New York issued, clearly printed with his name, Julian Cross. The same name on the boarding pass. The same name signed at the bottom of a multi-million-dollar supply contract with the airline whose gate he now stood before. She took it, didn't scan it, set it awkwardly beside the keyboard, and picked up a phone instead. Julian didn't sigh. He simply stepped to the side, his briefcase still in hand, his expression unchanged. He tapped his phone. One ring. Two. "Monica, it's Julian," he said, speaking softly. "Pull the SkyWest agreement. The food service one. I'm at JFK. Got you too." He didn't elaborate. Didn't need to. Monica, his assistant, had been with him through a dozen such encounters, each dressed in different uniforms, but all echoing the same undertone. "You don't belong here." Behind the desk, Erica had summoned a uniformed security guard. He didn't approach with hostility, just stood close, arms folded, as if Julian's presence needed containment. Passengers began to trickle in behind him. One of them, a man in a slate-gray blazer, murmured to his companion, "What's the hold-up?" Loud enough to be heard, not loud enough to be blamed. Julian heard. He just didn't flinch. On the phone, Monica returned. "Got it. You want to send it to their VP." "Do that," he said. "Copy in their operations director, too." He ended the call, put the phone away. Didn't explain to anyone why he'd made the call. He didn't have to. To them, he was just a well-dressed black man trying to board first class. To the airline, he was the architect of their latest PR success story and overhaul of their in-flight food program that turned them from meme material to a sustainability leader in under 8 months. Julian's company Cross Harvest Solutions, wasn't built on flashy branding or tech unicorn hype. It started as a single-produce truck in Dayton, Ohio. At 25, Julian had saved enough $400,000 scrape from side gigs and summer work to launch his first independent venture. He sold seasonal produce grown within 100 miles, sourced directly from farmers who knew their soil better than most people knew their passwords. His edge wasn't in what he sold, it was how he sold it. With trust, with patience. Over the years, Cross Harvest grew. Slowly. Intentionally. He didn't chase venture capital. He chased consistency. And, eventually, the right people noticed. SkyWest had come knocking after a consumer backlash about their soggy sandwiches and wasteful plastic wrap trays. Julian offered them a vision. Locally sourced meals with compostable packaging. No fluff, no greenwashing. Just real food served better. The deal? $48 million over 5 years. But Erica didn't know that. Nor did the security guard. Nor did the passengers, now shifting uncomfortably behind him, eager to board. All they saw was someone who didn't look like 1A. Behind the desk, Erica was panicking. Her colleague leaned over again, whispering. "He's on our vendor list," she said, brows raised. "Julian Cross. That's the Cross Harvest guy." Erica froze. "What do I do now?" she whispered. Her headset crackled. A supervisor voice. "Gate 22 status?" "We're seeing a delay." Erica pressed the button, her voice cracking. "Just verifying a boarding discrepancy." Julian remained where he was, calm. Still. Then, 10 floors above, in a conference room lined with glass and conference phones, a regional director named Cynthia Leroux took a call from Monica. "Julian Cross is being blocked from boarding at JFK," Monica said flatly. "No cause given." Cynthia sat upright. "He's supposed to keynote in San Francisco today." "I know," Monica said. He's still calm, but I wouldn't be. By the time Cynthia reached the gate, she wasn't alone. 2 executives followed, one from legal, one from PR. Julian didn't look up when they arrived. He was standing at the terminal window, watching planes crawl across the horizon like patient whales. "Mr. Cross," Cynthia said, her voice carefully balanced between apology and alarm. "I'm deeply sorry." Julian turned. "Are we boarding?" "Of course," she said. "You're in 1A. Please, right this way." He didn't move yet. "I was told this lane was for priority passengers," he said. Cynthia's face didn't change. That was incorrect. Julian's eyes flicked toward Erica. She shrank behind the desk, suddenly pale. "I don't need an apology," Julian said. "I need to know that the next person standing here who doesn't have a contract to leverage won't get treated like I just was." Cynthia nodded. "You have my word." "Make it policy," he said. He handed her a slim folder. "That's the original contract. For reference." She accepted it with both hands. Julian walked to the gate. As he passed Erica, he didn't speak, but the look he gave her said everything. Not anger. Disappointment. The kind that lingers. On board, the flight attendants treated him with a reverence just shy of awkwardness. Kevin, the lead attendant, offered him water, took his coat, and whispered, "Anything you need, Mr. Cross." Julian simply nodded. He sat in 1A, unmoved, unbothered, and deeply aware that the plane, though technically ready, hadn't left the gate. Systems were being checked, flights around them delayed. A silent pause across the network while SkyWest's leadership scrambled. In Denver, the airline's general counsel drafted a memo. Gate 22 incident potential bias exposure. HR pulled training logs. PR ready to statement. Internal audit reports showed no reason for Erica's escalation. Just a gut feeling. A mistake born of assumption. Julian didn't tweet. Didn't post. Didn't call a press conference. He didn't need to. The next day at the Western Green Summit, he delivered his keynote. He spoke about logistics, of course. About apples grown in Oregon and salad greens chilled to exactly 38 degrees. But near the end, he paused. Assumptions, he said to a room full of CEOs and startup darlings, cost more than dollars. They cost trust. The applause was quiet, but real. No standing ovation. Just a moment of collective reflection. Back at JFK, Erica was reassigned. Not fired, not publicly disciplined, but moved quietly. SkyWest launched a new bias response protocol 3 weeks later, citing recent events as a catalyst. Julian Cross never mentioned it again. He had fields to visit, contracts to review, farmers waiting for his word. But those who had seen him never forgot. The photo of him at Gate 22, calmly on the phone, circulated among leadership seminars and diversity training decks. Not viral, just enduring. He had said nothing that day, but his silence became a story in itself. A reminder that sometimes the loudest statement is to not play into the noise, and that the strongest men don't need to shout to be heard.